this meeting to order then. Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Mayor Stone is absent. Council members are all here. We have before us a modified agenda. We have an addition of action item 7H, resolution amending the fee schedule, and 7I, resolution for an application for a transfer of a liquor license.
Could I add reports and presentations, the park board and EDA report? No action.
All right. So Park Board and EDA?
Yes, thank you.
Any other changes? We have a motion for the amended agenda then?
So moved.
Second by Keith. Second by Dan. Anything else? Call the question then. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carries 4-0. Minutes from the last meeting, September 21st. Any comments or corrections? No. Seeing none, we'll take a motion to approve minutes then.
So moved.
Motion by Keith. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Diane. Call the question then. All in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Aye. I was absent.
Abstentions? Motion carries 3-0 and 1 abstention. Public open forum. Anybody wish to address the council? Looks like there's nobody here to address the council today, so we'll move on. We have no public hearings. We are up for reports and presentations then. 6A, the feasibility report for Getty Street.
Make sure I use this. I think I can see that, so I don't need my glasses. Acting Mayor and Council, tonight we have before you, the feasibility report that has been placed at your table today. Don't need to go through that because I'm going to be going through it all. You can go through that at your leisure and ask questions at a future time if there's anything that I don't cover today. But this is basically a summary of the report. This is for the Getty Street reconstruction. Purpose of this, a feasibility presentation for the reconstruction and realignment of currently a very narrow and deteriorating roadway. And as you all know, that there are development potential that is, we think, fairly imminent that's going to occur in that area. This is the project location as it's shown here. I think you know where Getty Street is at, just south of Beltline, wraps around and connects back up to Main Street or Trunk Highway 71. This is a picture looking south along Getty Street. As you know, we have a mix of commercial and assisted living residential that's along that roadway currently. The area which is to the east, to the left in this picture, is the old Interpretive Center property, which is in a process of being sold and will be developed in some fashion, and it'll be a commercial in retail in nature. I don't think we know exactly what that is at this stage, but that is what's being proposed. You'll notice a very narrow roadway. It's a 24-foot wide bituminous roadway, has a rural section, doesn't have curb and gutter, those kinds of things, as you see here. You can notice that it's fairly well deteriorated, the pavement. This is kind of down there at the corner looking to the east towards 71. Once again, it's still at 24 foot along through that area. You can see the condition of the pavement. It is deteriorating, it says there, rural section. It's only 24 feet wide. It really will not support retail traffic loading, both from a weight issue of loading as well as number of vehicles as well. What's being proposed for that area is such. This one, what we have before you, is a sanitary sewer and water main. It probably should just be sanitary sewer, because actually the water main is nothing but a service I didn't grab my laser, so I'll have to point here. The only real is the major service is the one that would go into the developing property, which is now the interpretive center area. That's the only water main through here. The sanitary sewer just realigns. Currently, the water in the sewer is way over here in the boulevard area, on the West Boulevard. The sewer would be brought back and realigned and put down the center of the roadway. The PUC intends for the water main to stay where it's at. There'll only be some minor adjustments of gate valves and hydrants and those kinds of things will be the only thing that would occur in those particular areas. The existing assisted living and the hotel would just have their services reconnected again. Once again, this shows now with the roadway. I'm going to move to that next. This is looking north from Getty Street. You will obviously see the alignment shift from Getty Street north of Beltline and Getty Street south. The proposal is to move Getty Street to the south so that it aligns with Getty Street to the north, so we don't have that odd intersection that's an unsafe condition the way it is now. It's proposed, we looked at that and made sure all of the utilities were out of the way, and more importantly, actually, one of the major utility pole that you can kind of see there, the new one to the left side of the picture there, so that it's outside of where that new road will be. You do notice there is some utility poles, this one in particular, there will have to be some utility poles. Those are, I believe those are the PUC's utility poles that run along there, so those would have to be replaced or moved associated with the project. So we would be moving that to make a safer alignment. These are the improvements for the street and storm sewer. I'll cover the storm sewer first. It's pretty minor in this, actually. Storm sewer is only what's located way up here on the north side. It's just a couple of catch basins that pick up the water. All the drainage, the street drainage, is all the way from along through here, starting at 71, all the way down is where the street drainage goes. There's also extension of a culvert to pick up that southwest corner ditch line of Beltline and Getty Street. And that's really all there is with the storm sewer for this project. As you can imagine, with the street moving, the street used to be right over through here. Now the street is going to be pushed all the way over, so therefore there's going to be grading work to fill in that ditch and also slope back into the existing properties onto the west side. So there will be some more extensive grading because of moving that over. This portion of the roadway is generally, you can kind of see the underneath the existing road is pretty much right on top of where it is now. The exception is right now there's really essentially a 90-degree corner down there. It's been rounded off just by people driving over the corner, but there will actually be a curve that would be put into that area. And this curve is 125-foot radius. This would allow traffic for a full-size 67-foot semi-truck to be able to drive through here without being outside of its lanes or jumping the curb. So it's kind of minimal radius through there in order to do that. Go ahead.
Currently, that's a one-way, correct?
So it's a one-way through here. This is a two-way on the north-south. This is a one-way going out.
So the plan would be to make that into a two-way.
Yep.
With a turn off of 71.
Correct. Correct. You're just a little bit ahead of me on this, but yes, this portion, what would be changed with this is that this will become a right in, right out. So you can only go from southbound to get in through here, and as you come out, you can only go southbound again. Currently, the current movements allowed are coming in from the north, coming in from the south, and actually you can come straight across from the off-ramp. That would go away and this would go away, so you can only come in and out. What you gain is that out movement. This will be as much as would be, at least the correspondence thus far with MnDOT, that would be as much as they would allow us to do with a right in, right out. I believe certainly their strong preference is to have nothing go through there, but the correspondence suggests that a right in, right out would be an acceptable alternative. So that is what's being put forward to go that way. Would be back to an an urban section, so it would be concrete curb and gutter, and bituminous roadway, just like our other roads. This is a 36-foot wide roadway. One of the things that I would recommend is that we keep it that narrower width, but we do not allow parking. We mark it as no parking through here. There really isn't a reason for parking in this area because there's plenty of parking in assisted living. The hotel has plenty of parking for themselves. What's going to happen in here will have their own internal parking. There isn't really a compelling need to have parking there. All it does is make us have the roads wider and cost money to do that. So I don't, that's what I would recommend. There doesn't seem to be a real need. It is narrower than Getty to the north, but that's the way Getty to the north was. That was about a 40-foot wide roadway to the north, so it is wider to the north. So if we make it, then the issue then becomes parking. The one kind of issue that we have is there are patrons at the hotel, semi-trucks, that usually end up parking right down, actually right off of this area through here. Now, technically, that's onto MnDOT's right-of-way. One of the things I've struggled with a little bit is if we were to make something through here that encourages people to park through there, we're really encouraging someone to park on somebody else's property, if you will. One option that I've developed is whether we would do potentially a little bump out, and this could be 2 to 4 foot wide, where we'd widen the street, widen the curb and gutter through here. This, what's drawn here, would accommodate 2 semis to be able to park in there, and would still accommodate a full driving lane to go past it, so that we're not narrowing the street in terms of driving width to go through there. So that would be an option that could be looked at. Other than that is, you could say, no, we're not going to have any parking. I guess they're going to have to park in their property someplace. There's some gravel parking area to the west. If you've gone into the hotel and look, whether a semi can get in there and turn around, I think might be questionable. But that's an issue that we have before us, and we can talk about and get maybe some feedback tonight, but that really would be sort of a design issue if you chose to go forward, what sort of direction you might wish to go with the parking issue through here. So, let's see, I think I already put those on there. The project costs are estimated to be just over $337,000 as a total. You see the breakdown for sanitary sewer, storm services, and streets. The vast majority is the streets at $269,000. The city cost, this is based upon a 50-50 split of the storm sewer and the streets. The city costs $141,000. The PUC cost is for the sanitary sewer. They pay for those portions thereof. The assessable costs then are shown on the far right, and that's the dollars that would then ultimately be assessed for the adjoining property owners. The preliminary assessment summary is as shown on a front foot basis for the streets, $188.82. That is a little high. One of the reasons for that is that east-west portion, the south side, really has nobody to assess for it. So you end up with a cost that has to be spread over everything else. And it's about 270 feet or thereabouts, 300 feet long. So we lose a chunk of assessable, so that ends up getting eaten up by everybody else. So that's the reason that one's a little more abnormally high than what we would typically see. But that is also a discussion and something that the council may wish to deal with in a different way if they so choose. But that's why the number is where it's at. The cost per each for sanitary sewer service and water main, the reason the range on the sanitary is because the higher number is for the larger services going into the developing lot, and the smaller one is for the services for the adjacent property owners to the west side. The water service, the cost for the storm sewer is 4 cents a square foot. And once again, I have the total cost for the sanitary sewer. Shown there, the 50-50 assessment on the street and storm. The rates that you see here are full assessment rates. So these aren't what the resident essentially, the adjacent would pay half of those rates for the street and the storm sewer. And I'll show you what those preliminary assessments, would look like. There's only 4 property owners. The top one there is the assisted living. The next 2 are the hotel, and then the city essentially is the developable parcel at this stage. The discounts are figured into these, so that you can see the totals there for each one is what the totals with the discounts would be at this stage of the game of the cost estimates. So with that, I will entertain any questions you may have at this stage.
I suppose that parking, the question of parking for the semis for the motel up there, that, I suppose they'd have to petition their neighbors for that gravel parking to the...
Well, to the south is MnDOT right away. So I doubt MnDOT would give them any authority to put a parking lot in there. To the west, if they did something out the back, yeah, that would have to be, they'd have to work that out with, I can't recall who the adjacent property owner is to the west from them. It's a larger parcel there, but they would have to work something out with them. I mean, that could be done, but, you know, there just isn't a real good solution. I'm reluctant to encourage the current practices because that's not something we really should condone, or at least make it possible to do that. That's readily, you know, that encourages them to do that. We certainly would never want to put a parking lot in there. You know, if we did a drop-down curb through there, someone else decides to park there, you know, maybe that's a consideration. But I don't think we'd want to go anything more than that.
Just the optional, I would tend to agree, you know, if that's just gonna be a right on and right out up on there on the north, I guess I would tend to frown upon that optional parking area. For maybe a
And once,
visitor.
I think the action item tonight is to move forward and go to a public hearing. You could receive, obviously, testimony from the hotel and others along there at that time before you make those decisions, but certainly we can discuss pros and cons here as you wish.
My
All
opinion.
right. Well, I wonder, you've got one curb cut there. It's possible that might, if we change that somehow, maybe there could be truck parking inside. If there was a entrance low and high on their parking lot, there'd be a place for them to drive through without trying to turn all the way back.
Are you suggesting like down here more? Is that what you're?
Yeah, I'm thinking you've got one in the middle, you know, if we had
Yeah.
one lower down and one higher up.
Yeah.
Trucks
They
might
they have their,
drive through.
they have their sign in through here, which could be an issue. I mean, it could be done,
Yeah.
but to go
I
through
know
here.
it's down there.
And their parking is angled this way, and it's also angled on the other building this way, which is kind of odd because it doesn't really facilitate flow parking, but that's the way it's currently striped.
But you said, right now, it looks like the trucks are probably parking on MnDOT property anyway.
Yeah, they absolutely are now, so it's actually paved a bit. You can kind of see the little T
Yeah.
that's paved through it, and the rest of it's just kind of gravel,
Right,
grass,
just back
where
onto
they
gravel.
park. But you can see that that's, with the road being moved over, that's not really it's really easy now because they can just drive in and back through there. Well, now that becomes a little more problematic because you're sort of in about a third of the way through the curve, you know, so it doesn't work out quite as well in that same location. Plus, you know, presumably, you know, if we have retail here, we're going to have a little more traffic through there. Turning movements of that type could be problematic. I don't know if we'd want vehicles to be trying to make those kinds of maneuvers when there's more traffic on that road.
Yep. Well,
I think that the bump out, we don't know what the property is going to look like after the fact, if they're going to what's their parking lot going to look like? Where's their turn-ins, their turnouts? And putting a semi even 4 or 5 feet into the road,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now, what we currently have, this shows entrances into this property. This is only from a very preliminary sketch from them, so
That was
likely.
provided from them?
Yeah,
Okay.
likely that's going to change in some way, shape, or form, I would imagine. We hope to get something reasonably soon from them. They are actually, I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, Vicki, that they are working on some layout now. They're actually actively working on something. I don't know how long that will take, but sometime soon. I should also point out that like these trees, as you probably recall, this really drops off through here. So with our grading, we only have a 5-foot boulevard that we're providing, then going down at a 4-to-1. These trees would all end up going. Now, none of them are real great trees, but those would end up going. Most likely with the development, they'd be gone anyway because they'd have to fill in through there. So, but I think those are the only ones that would be tree removal associated with the project.
So vehicles traveling north on Getty Street South there, that exit they can turn right or left on, or is that limited too?
Say again, on 71?
When they head north out to 12th Street, can they turn right or left there?
Yes.
It's open,
Yeah.
all right.
Yep. That would be a full interchange there. Now, there's no lights there or anything of that nature, but it would be just like any other corner that we have, intersection.
It's a wild one, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Me neither.
If you're done,
Okay.
we'll move on.
Thank you.
Park Board?
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you, Keith.
Okay. The Park Board met last night in their regular session, which was Tuesday, October 4th. Some of the agenda items they had, they did receive the summer rec report from the school. If you recall, in the September one, that information wasn't available yet, so we did receive that on the numbers. They did review the seasonal camping contract for some updates, which you will talk about later. Those updates include some language on removal or eviction or not inviting people back, limits on deck sizes, and then some corrections on some typographical errors and correcting the dump fee and the fish cleaning house fee and those kinds of things that are in the seasonal contract that need to be corrected. They also are recommending a seasonal and monthly rate change for 2017, and usually we do the rate changes for the city in December, but we usually do the seasonal campground earlier because we send contracts out, because people like to tie up their site earlier rather than later. So that'll be an action item later tonight. They did look at some internet availability. They're researching some options to get internet into the campground that'll work good for the campers and be a low cost for the city. They learned that the campground attendant has said he will not be returning in 2017, so they did review the job description of the campground attendant and will be coming back later with a recommendation on that. And they also looked at their annual revenue and expenditures for the campground. We'll have to review that again later because the expenditures for the summer aren't all paid yet, even though the revenues are pretty much all in. So that was the activities of the Park Board.
Any questions? Move on to the EDA.
Okay. The EDA met today. That was their regular session. They did learn that the opportunity with Sauk Center Opportunities and the DNR kind of is putting on hold, so that was a project that they'd kind of referred over there, and so that is on hold for now, but we're hopeful that they'll make something work in the future. They do have a recommendation on the payment for the racetrack demolition, and that is an item later on your agenda. And they did talk about some marketing strategy for the racetrack. I've been working with the SBDC and the Initiative Fund, and they've got some ideas on how we could maybe do things a little different to market that once it's ready to go. And we did review the land rental contract for the 59 acres, which is the Unger property south of the truck stop, and how the property taxes are affecting that. And then also, they did receive an update that the Getty Street improvements were moving forward with the feasibility study tonight, and we'll also be asking you to order the feasibility study for the extension of Kate's Estates. So these are all things related to EDA activities, and so that is why they discussed them. Okay?
Any other questions? No. We'll move on to our action items then. 7A, approving resolution 216-71, accepting the feasibility report and calling for a hearing on the Getty Street improvements.
This is exactly what you just said, and this is to accept the report that Keith just provided to you, and then to ask us, we're asking to call for a public hearing to be held on November 2nd. So that would be the first council meeting in November, and then the residents will be invited to come and see a presentation and to see preliminary assessments and to ask questions. And then at that meeting, then the city council can either order the improvement and get it going, or they have a certain amount of time to approve it after that. So what this is gets it all set up, and then as soon as we close on the property, we can pull the trigger and get it ready to go. So what we are asking to do is to approve Resolution 2016-71, accepting the feasibility report and calling for the public hearing on the improvement.
Questions? We'll call for motion then.
I make a motion we approve resolution 2016-71.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Keith, seconded by Heidi. Any other questions or discussion?
Sorry, I should have let you explain what it was. I don't know if you want to finish it for the,
Well, I think we've covered it here, but if you'd like, I'll repeat it.
it's totally.
We're just accepting the feasibility report and calling for a hearing.
Correct.
On Getty Street, so. Call the question, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Action item 7B, resolution 216-72, ordering a feasibility report on Main Street North improvements.
Okay. At the prior council meetings, you recall we took several actions regarding a business subsidy agreement, a conditional use permit, and plating for the property on North Main Street that is owned by the city that is going to be developed for an apartment complex. So the next step that we have is to work on the utility extensions that go through the lots, and then the paving of the cul-de-sac and the Kate's Estates Drive. I did include in your packet a kind of a preliminary sketch of how those utilities will go down through there, just so you have that for your review. It has to go south from that cul-de-sac, and we have to wrap around the Indian Mound property. We can't disturb that, so we had to have a little bit wider easement to get around there. And then we would continue south with the water main. It's kind of just a preliminary layout at this point. We haven't dug into it a whole lot. So the next step in the process for planning this project would be to order that feasibility report, similar to what we just received tonight on Getty Street. And the reason we would go that way is because there are potential assessments on this property for the water main that extends beyond this property and also across Main Street. So what we're asking to do tonight is to approve Resolution 2016-72, ordering the preparation of a feasibility report for Kate's Estates Drive and portions of Main Street North. And this is for that apartment complex project.
Questions? Comments? Now I'll call for a motion on Resolution 216-72, feasibility report for Main Street North.
I'll make the motion.
For or against? For or against?
For it.
For it, all right.
Yeah.
I thought I'd clarify.
Sorry.
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion by Diane, seconded by Heidi. Any other comments or questions? No? Call the question, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Winter seasonal employment.
Okay. We do have the following positions that we're requesting appointment for the wintertime. It's the ice arena attendant would be Keith Sorensen, and Keith has been with us at the ice arena since the ice arena began. And so we have him put on there, and we're also looking for, and we did advertise last spring, for a second person to split hours with him. And that'll be a future item at another council agenda. I just wanted to let you know that. And then we have our figure skating instructors, Sarah Lino and Morgan Hess. These are both returning. And then they will have their Saturday morning class. It's an hour and a half a week is what they get that for. And that is funded by figure skating fees. And then we have the outdoor rink attendant, which is Dennis Christensen, and he works in the summer mowing grass, watering flowers, and then in the winter at the outdoor rink. So we are requesting to approve the winter seasonal employment for Keith Sorensen, Sarah Linow, Morgan Hess, and Dennis Christensen.
All right, so questions?
Is there a actual start and end date to these seasons?
As far as like a physical date?
Yeah.
Well, Keith will start when the ice goes into the arena.
Okay.
Dennis starts when it's cold enough to make ice at the outdoor rink. So it's more weather-related than it is. And then the figure skating starts at a specific date, I think the 22nd or 24th of October. So, yeah.
Okay. Just wondering.
Okay. Any other questions? You said we'll be looking for a second person for the ice arena.
We have been looking, in fact, we started this last year, was looking for someone as an ice arena attendant, like for evenings or weekends, to kind of split the hours with Keith. We're not looking to add more hours to the arena, we're just looking to divide them by a couple people.
And if we don't get anybody to apply for that?
If we don't, then we infill with our regular public works staff.
Okay. That's what we did last year, I think, right?
Correct.
All right. Any other questions? Then I will call for a motion. We have a motion to approve the winter seasonal employment.
I'll make the motion.
Motion, we have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded by Diane and Keith. Any other questions or comments? Call the question then. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Final payment on the racetrack demolition.
If you recall, when we purchased the racetrack, we had an agreement right in the purchase agreement that the city would contribute half of the demolition up to a maximum of $60,000. And so that's what we have been working on, and as you noticed, most of everything is done except some final grading down there. And so we have paid to date $51,108.33, leaving a balance of $88,91.67. However, there's one caveat. Mr. Felling did come in and talk to me, and they did crush the concrete. They brought a crusher in because they had other concrete they wanted to crush, so they crushed this concrete as well. And so he is asking the city to pay for the crushing costs, but then we would retain the concrete. And so the crushing cost was $27,533.90, and then that would be for 3,200 tons of crushed concrete, which is about $10, it's about $32,000 of value. And I went to the EDA with that, and they said no. They said just let him keep the concrete and the crushing. That wasn't part of our deal, and their recommendation is just to pay the $60,000 once they're done. And so I am bringing that recommendation to the City Council on behalf of the EDA, that we stick with the $60,000 contract amount that we had agreed upon, and that we don't get in the concrete crushing business, I guess is what you might want to say. And so, and if that is what the City Council is thinking, then I will get back to him and let him know that. If there's some compelling reason that you feel that we should pay for the concrete and then resell it or whatever, you need to let us know. But the EDA's recommendation is we not do that.
Questions? Comments?
Not really, just that we don't really care to get into the brokerage of
Yep.
excavation.
We didn't request that other concrete get crushed.
No.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I agree.
I agree too.
We don't need to do that. I'll take a motion for approving the payment as recommended then.
I'll make a motion that we approve payment as recommended by the EDA.
Okay, we have a motion by Keith. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. And that was a little less than 9,000?
Yes.
All right.
It was $88,91.67.
Any other questions or comments? Call the question then. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Set a public informational meeting.
This is part of the information meetings, or meeting that we want to have for the local option sales tax that is on the ballot.
And so we've been doing some outreach. We have it in the newsletter. We've been to the senior center. The mayor is going to speak to various groups. We have it on Facebook, 'cause some different, they're going to be doing an article in the Herald about it for us. And so one of the options that we have is for the council to have a public meeting, an open house, so that people can come in and ask questions, and they feel it's the right time they can come in, and the council could be here, and we would just be able to answer those questions. So I put forward some dates. You know, we could do it before the council meeting next time, the 19th, or then the October 26th is a Wednesday where we don't have a council meeting. We could come in for an open house. And then there's November 2nd, which is before the next council meeting. That's getting really close to the election. I mean, we have a lot of people that vote absentee and may have already voted, so I guess it'd be my recommendation, the sooner the better. And so I just want to leave it up to you, though. You know, we can do it before the next council meeting on October 19th and have information available for people if you feel that an open house is something that we should pursue.
Comments? Thoughts?
I would think that to get, you know, having Mayor Stone out there speaking to different groups, yes, it's getting to the people who will be out and voting, but there's going to be a large majority of people that he hasn't spoken to yet.
Correct.
So there definitely, I think, needs to be some sort of a way for those people to be informed.
Any other thoughts?
I would tend to agree. I think the more you can get it out, the better off everyone would be. People would be more informed about why we're asking for this. Yeah.
You want to weigh in too?
Sooner the better. October 19th looks good to me.
All right. I think I have to agree that everybody deserves a chance to come in and speak to us if they have concerns, not just whatever you might hear around and about. And I certainly lean towards the 19th before the meeting as well.
I would be okay with that.
Do we need a motion on that?
Do you want a motion, or do you want a motion for that date?
I just need the date selected. I don't need to have a motion for that.
All right.
Okay.
Well, then by general consent, we'll do it on the 19th at 5:30.
Okay, thank you.
Action item F, approving resolution 21673, authorizing the sale of forfeited vehicles.
The police department does have 2 forfeited vehicles now that have been released for sale by administrative forfeiture, and we do have the titles for them. So the department is requesting they be considered excess and advertised for sale. It's a 1997 Chevrolet pickup and a 2000 Jaguar. So this is resolution 2016-73, declaring property excess and advertising for sale.
Vicki, I think that's a 2003 Jaguar, not a 2000.
Pardon me?
The Jaguar is a 2003.
Yeah, that's where you see in 2000.
Oh, I thought you said 2000.
Maybe I did, but it's 2003.
All right. Don't want to sell the wrong one.
Because we have multiple.
Oh, yes.
That's
Yes.
right. Yeah, because we have a whole fleet, yeah. Right. All right. Any other questions or comments?
These will be listed where, so people can look?
They'll be on MinBid, but we also put a thing in the paper here that if you're interested in the vehicles, how to get to the website.
Okay, so min bid and the local paper.
Yeah. If you did State of Minnesota online auction, it would take you right there.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve resolution 2016-73, authorizing the sale of forfeited vehicles?
So moved.
Motion by Keith.
Second.
Second by Heidi. Any other comments? We'll call a question then. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 4-0. Item G, approving the Sinclair Lewis Campground updated rules and regulations.
It's more of the contract, I guess, which includes the rules, but I did give you the existing one that is in there so you could read it to see, and most of it is still good. There's just some tweaks to it, and like I said earlier, we're going to add a deck width minimum, which is no wider than 12 feet, but it has to be a minimum of 10 feet from the adjoining site. So that'll be some limitations there. Some of the larger sites may be able to accommodate it, but the decks are growing and growing and growing, and so they start taking up areas that might otherwise been parking, so we just wanted to be consistent there. A couple other, the $5 fee for the dump station and the fish cleaning house. This is on page 28. And I think there's a fire ring distinguish, it should be extinguished. Dave pointed that out, thank you very much. And then we want to include some language regarding, and we have some from some various campgrounds, and if we have issues with some people that aren't complying with the rules, that there's an avenue for us to, that we have the final say on asking them either to leave or not to come back next year. And so those are the things that we want to incorporate into this contract before we send it out. Unless you see some more items that you would like to have included in there, we think it's pretty comprehensive.
Questions or comments? I'm curious now, you're asking us to approve this contract, but you're planning on changing it.
It's just the only thing that we're changing is we're including the eviction language
Okay. But
and
you don't have
adding the
that.
deck rule.
You don't have that yet?
The eviction language?
Yes.
We have it, and I don't have it down here with me. But
Okay.
it's a standard language that's in a lot of the other campgrounds. That we robbed it from another campground, put it that way.
What is the time constraints here?
The time constraints on the
Yeah, when
contract?
Yeah.
We were planning on sending them out tomorrow if we get approval to
Okay.
do it. Unless you want to, you can,
Well, that's, I'm just wondering how everybody feels that we're going to approve a contract we haven't actually seen.
okay. Well, when I had the meeting
Thoughts?
last night, we just had the meeting last night,
Yeah.
and that's why I don't have it for you.
You're planning to get it out, so I assume that.
I can
means
certainly
you're
email you that
nearly ready.
language. I could email you the language in the morning, if you'd like to see that.
Okay,
We worked on this thing for about an hour and a half last night.
great. Well, that's my only concern is that we're going to approve it. You've looked at it, do you know what the final is? I mean, the final language, or?
Well, we talked about it last night,
We read examples
Yeah.
for them, so they
Okay.
knew, yeah.
and it's pretty standard with the other campgrounds, too.
All right. Well, any other comments? In that case, I will look for a motion regarding the updated rules and regulations.
I'll make the motion to accept it.
We have a motion by Diane to accept the update,
No, second.
and a second by Heidi. Any other questions or comments? Call the question then. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. We have a resolution now, 2016-75, amending the fee schedule.
Okay, this is the second part of the campground last night, and it was the campground fee schedule, which gets reviewed early because the contracts go out early, and this would be implemented on January 1st, 2017. And the two changes that they are looking for the campground is the monthly site rate would go from $400 to $500, and the seasonal rate would go to $1,800. If you recall, we had some at 13, some at 15. We made them, all of them the same larger size, so their recommendation is to change that to $1,800. And that is set forth in Resolution 2016-75, amending the administrative rental and use fee schedule.
All right. Questions, comments?
I think this was done last night more to make it easier to schedule all this stuff.
Right, there's scheduling and consistency, and that's,
All right. I will entertain a motion then regarding Resolution 2016-75, amending the fee schedule.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Motion by Diane. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And a second by Heidi. Any other comments or questions? Call the question, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Item I, approving Resolution 2016-76, approving the application of Benjamin Moss doing business as Shots Sports Bar and Grill for a transfer of an on-sale and off-sale liquor license to be located at 526 Sinclair Lewis Avenue.
I did include or provide for you this evening the application that's been submitted by Benjamin Moss. He is the purchaser of the corner bar. And so what they are working to do is to get that transfer done. It's going to be effective November 1st, but we need to send this off to the state, and that's why it was added on to the agenda tonight. They have provided the workers' compensation, they've provided the insurance liability. I think it came after we wrote this staff report up. And the liquor license annual fee is prorated between the buyer and the seller. It doesn't involve, involve us, so they have to do that themselves. So what we're looking at tonight is to approve Resolution 2016-76, approving the application of Benjamin Moss, doing business as Shots Sports Bar and Grill, for a transfer of an on-sale and off-sale liquor license at 526 Sinclair Lewis Avenue, which is the current corner bar.
Questions or comments?
I would just like to say that in the second area on the first page where he's asked to identify the city, he spelled center wrong.
I had noticed that.
C-N-T-R-E.
To be fair, he's covered his bases. It's been spelled both ways.
I suppose. Little
All
touchy.
right, a little touchy. Any other comments or questions? And then I call for a motion regarding Resolution 216-76, approving
With
application.
with that being said, I will make a motion. We approve the resolution.
I'll
Motion by
second.
Keith and a second by Diane. Any other questions or comments? Call the question then. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 4 in favor, none against. Unfinished business.
Just an update on the comp plan. The comp plan proposals, they've been reviewed. Interviews are scheduled for October 19th, beginning at 1. So we'll wrap those up right before that open house that we just scheduled. The interview committee is Warren and Heidi, and Heidi was actually coming on behalf of the Planning Commission. Warren is on behalf of the council. It was coincidence that she's also on the council. Sarah, myself, and then Paul Heschen from the Public Utility will be the interview committee. At least that's our base committee. If somebody else wishes to participate, we certainly would invite you to do so. But that's just kind of some information so you see where we're at in the process. Does anybody have any questions on that? No. Okay.
Nope.
No.
The schoolhouse.
Just kind of a little update on the Little Red Schoolhouse. There was the article in the paper and some different things about, what's going to happen to the schoolhouse. And the Retired School Teachers Association actually reached out to me, and I'm going to be meeting with them because I want to hear their ideas as well. So we're still talking to various people to get their ideas, and then we will come back to the city council. It is the city's building, and so you would have the ultimate say of where it would eventually live or be. But we certainly want to, the retired school teachers have been taking care of it for many years as far as the interior, and we want to get their input as well. So just to let you know that we're still moving forward on that. We'll probably have to make a decision probably in November. So that's kind of where we're at with that.
Questions or comments? Just to clarify, the building belongs to the city, but the contents belongs to the Teachers Association.
It's my understanding that the different items have been donated to make it like a schoolhouse again, that the retired school teachers have received. So they kind of take care of that part of it.
All right. No further questions? New business? Nope.
No.
New business. The library agreement.
As you know, we have great regional library system in our library, and they've been there for many years now, and we're still operating under the original contract. They did submit a revised contract to the city for approval, very long and complex, and they submitted the same contract to a variety of cities. And so the city of Melrose and the city of Albany and the city of Sauk Center, we've been working together to try to get a contract that we feel comfortable with, but yet is fair to the regional library system, fair to the respective cities, and understandable, readable, that type of thing. So actually, the city of Melrose had their city attorney review it already, and they've sent me a red line copy, so I'd like to get the policy committee together and let them review that, look at the old one, kind of get them up to speed on how the library system works and see if this new contract proposal works or it doesn't. And actually, there's some other smaller cities that have also come on board with this group. So we hope to all have the same contract, and kind of, then it would be easier for the library system as well.
All right, so recommendation is to send it to the policy committee?
I'm thinking policy is the place to go with it. Is that what you think?
Just
Yeah.
for clarification, the people on the policy committee are?
You and, it's Dave. I think you're on, I think it's Dave
Yeah.
and Diane.
Diane?
Oh, yeah, I guess it is.
All right.
But-
Yeah,
Just to clarify, so you know who you're sending it to.
yeah, there you go.
All right, by general consent then?
It's fine.
Policy committee?
Yeah.
All right. Cleaning contract.
As you know, our public buildings, City Hall, Fire Department, Police Department, and the airport, actually, we have a cleaning contract, and we've had it's been 6 years now since we went out for it, and I've had a lot of different people inquire about, is the city ever going to go out for bids again on the contract? We'd be interested in doing it. We've looked at the contract, and we have, if we wish to go out for bids or to make any changes, we have to give 60 days advance notice, so now would be the time, because it goes through the end of the year. It automatically renews unless we do otherwise. So if the city wants to advertise for cleaning services or go to see what's out there, I would let the current cleaning person know, and then she also would have the option to be reconsidered. Or, or we can just not do that. I mean, I brought it up in prior years and we just continued on. But with the number of people that are requesting the opportunity, it might be a time to go out again and see what's out there. So what are your thoughts?
I don't think that's a bad idea.
I think if it's been that long, yeah, I think if there's other interested parties as well.
Yeah, I agree. 6 years and interest, it's time to take another look.
Okay.
I think perhaps you look for a motion on this?
Sure.
Let's have a motion to approve going out for bids.
I will make a motion that we advertise for bids for cleaning of the public buildings.
All right, motion by Keith, we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. So motion and a second to go out for bids on the cleaning contract. Any other comments? Call the question, and all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries 4-0. Health insurance renewal.
As you recall, in budget cycle, we had learned that we had a 13.3% increase in our city staff insurance policy. And so as staff, we did go out and we looked at about 10 or 12 different plans and different price rates and benefits that we could offer. And we feel that there is the potential out there that we could save the city some dollars. And so we cannot just randomly change the level of benefits without negotiating that with the union. So what I'm recommending that we do is, if this council feels that it's a good idea to change, we could save anywhere between $50,000 and $75,000 is what we are thinking right now, based on the information that we have. If the council thinks that's advisable to go down that road, then we would immediately get the personnel committee involved and begin negotiations and education for everybody to get memorandums of understanding from our unions to make that switch. The other option the city has is they don't want to go that way, they don't want to go into negotiations, and they want to keep what we have. That's fine, we have it in the budget, but there is the potential to save considerable dollars that we could use elsewhere if we make a switch. So I came to you at this point to see, do you think we should go down that road? And if so, we need to get moving on it because we have a very narrow window. So,
Thoughts?
I definitely think so, if it'll save the taxpayers some money here at the city.
I think so too. Are there wellness incentives with their current?
yes.
Okay, so maybe we'd have to match those as well?
That I'm not certain yet.
Okay. Just the coverage, we cannot.
Correct. The coverage is, there's some things in the union contract that lays out the type of coverage that it has to be.
Okay.
But we've done some calculations on how we think we can make that happen. So,
All right, so recommendation is to send this to the personnel committee.
correct.
Shall we clarify who that is as well then?
That would be Heidi and Warren.
Okay. I think general consent's probably adequate.
That's
to send
fine.
to the committee.
Yeah.
That should be fine.
Yep.
When does the window slam shut on this? I'm sorry.
We would like to get it finalized in October.
Okay.
So there's some parts of it, if we actually renew on December 1st, that we can actually get in 2016 rates instead of 17 rates, and then we keep those rates all the way till December of next year. There's all kinds of insurance things that are kind of quirky, so.
Okay. Thanks.
Well, that brings us to the consent agenda. We have before us a schedule of claims, unpaid claims of $53,757.91, paid claims of $26,865.74 for a total of $80,623.65. We have payment to the building inspection services of $66.12.94. And we have Resolution 2016-74, accepting a contribution from the Men's Playing Card Playing Group for the Senior Center in the amount of $170.53. And on behalf of the city, I would like to thank them for their contribution. And also a gambling application for an exempt permit request from Holy Family School for a raffle on December 21st, 2016 at Holy Family School. Questions? Then I will entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Keith,
Second.
and a second by Diane. Any other questions? Call the question, then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. We have apparently no informational items, having
Correct.
received all the information we can stand tonight. There being no further business, then, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion by Heidi. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
And a second by Keith. Call the question, then. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Meeting adjourned.